Hostin's obsession with race gets thrown back in her face. Today's video comes to us from sunny Hostin. Sounds like a town. We're in sunny Hostin.
Wow. I'm a little bit in shock. I just always thought of myself as Puerto Rican, half Puerto Rican. I didn't think I was, my family was originally from Spain and slaveholders.
Greg Gutfeld and his crew just roasted Sunny Hostin so hard she was left scrambling for cover like a politician caught with a burner phone. The burn was brutal. Hostin has since gone quiet on social media, likely taking a brief hiatus to apply some metaphorical aloe and salvage whatever dignity is left. So what exactly did Greg and his team say that turned Sunny into instant meme material? And how is she handling the non-stop trolling? Stick around, because we've got all the tea, and trust me, you'll be laughing so hard you might spill yours.
She was on PBS's Finding Your Roots, a show dedicated to researching celebrity ancestry. For context, Sunny is a staunch supporter of reparations and has made a fortune spewing nonsense about white privilege and racial justice. Well, turns out she's not as oppressed as she claims she is. She's actually the descendant of slave owners from Europe.
For what feels like forever, Sunny has leaned hard into identity politics, turning every stage she steps onto into a personal soapbox. Again and again, she's pushed the message that white men are the root of all evil, and that Black Americans have been systematically oppressed since the dawn of time. But here's the twist. For someone who talks nonstop about the evils of privilege, Sunny seems to be doing just fine within that very system. High-paying gigs, comfortable TV seats, a front-row pass to Hollywood's elite circle. Clearly, she's thriving inside the empire she loves to criticize. It's almost as if she's managed to weaponize the very narrative she condemns, cashing in on it while sipping champagne at industry galas. So when she learned that she wasn't quite the victim she'd sold herself as to the world, the shock was real. And here's how she reacted when that truth was first put in front of her.
Wow. I'm a little bit in shock. I just always thought of myself as Puerto Rican, half Puerto Rican. I didn't think I was, my family was originally from Spain and slaveholders.
You can practically see the embarrassment written all over Sunny Hostin's face the moment she learned her family once owned slaves. The irony lands like a bad soap opera plot twist. You can almost hear the dramatic music playing in her head as her carefully crafted narrative starts to fall apart. For someone who's built an entire career calling out systemic oppression, discovering that her own ancestors were part of that system had to hit harder than a Greg one-liner. It's the twist she never saw coming, and the one she definitely never wanted. But for everyone else watching, it was pure television gold. And somehow, it gets even more uncomfortable. Listen closely to what she says next when the host asks her how she feels about learning the truth.
How are you feeling, my friend?
I think it's actually pretty interesting that my husband and I have shared roots.
Yeah.
So I do appreciate that. And I think it's great for our children to know this information. I guess it's a fact of life that this is how some people made their living. On the backs of others.
Really, Sunny, no scathing takedown of your own ancestors for owning and profiting from slaves? It seems people tread lightly when the shoe's on their own foot. Now, let's flip the script. Imagine if it were Donald Trump whose family tree included slave owners. The uproar would be deafening. You can already hear Sunny's fiery monologues about systemic evil and moral accountability. But when the tables are turned, suddenly it's just a fact of life. How convenient. And then came Greg Gutfeld's comments. But fair warning, hold on tight, because the laughter that follows might just knock you off your chair.
Act of life. Interesting change of tune. For more, we go to our chief Sunny Hostin correspondent for a reaction.
Reaction. Yep, Tyrus. Laugh away. And honestly, it's well-deserved. Sunny's position here is nothing short of laughable. A masterclass in self-contradiction. Here's someone who spends her days preaching accountability and justice, only to shrug off her own family's shady past like it's no big deal. Talk about setting the bar low enough to trip over. It's almost as if her outrage comes with an on and off switch, fully charged when pointing fingers at others, but conveniently drained when the spotlight hits her. So, go ahead, Tyrus, keep laughing. Sunny's situation isn't just laughable, it's comedy gold, wrapped up in a bow of irony. And Greg and Tyrus weren't the only ones taking aim. Here comes Lou Perez's salvo.
It's going to be so awkward on, new episodes of The View when she tries to pull the race card.
Yes.
And then she's like, America is racist. And then they're like, yeah, they might be racist, but they're not like slave owner racist. like somebody that we...
That's so true.
Yeah.
Oh, how we'd live for an episode like that. Picture it, Sunny Hostin, mid-rant, passionately condemning racism with her signature flair for drama, when suddenly, a bold studio audience member stands up and drops the ultimate plot twist, a reminder of her slave-owning ancestry. You can almost hear the collective gasp, followed by the awkward shuffling of cue cards. The dynamics would be priceless. Would Sunny double down, deflect, or pivot faster than a politician caught in a scandal? Maybe she'd frame it as ancestral reparations or spin it into some tale of redemption. Either way, the hypocrisy would hang in the air thicker than Hollywood's self-congratulation at an awards show. And if you thought Lou's take was epic, just wait until you hear Kat Timpf.
One thing, and I would have even actually not give her any is she said, well, I guess that's just what they did back then.
Yeah.
She should have followed that up with saying something along the lines of, and I understand that that's a departure from the way I've talked about this before.
Kat nailed it. At the very least, Sunny Hostin could have acknowledged that she now sees the whole reparations and racial debate from a slightly different perspective, ideally one not dripping with irony. A little humility would have gone a long way. She could have gracefully admitted that some of her past statements were, well, maybe a bit biased. But grace hasn't exactly been her strong suit. Instead, she's probably spinning this revelation into a teachable moment or conveniently burying it under another monologue about systemic oppression.
Exactly, because if she is shaming descendants of this, will she continue to do that when she is now one of them?
We doubt she will, because nothing says new perspective quite like sidestepping accountability. But hey, maybe she's still processing the irony of her ancestors participating in the very trade she so passionately condemns. Baby steps, right? But that's just the warm-up. Here's where the roasting gets even harsher for The View's host.
It is funny. She's so wrapped up in identity, and she had no idea who she was.
Well, now we understand why she always makes Whoopi get the coffee.
Dana Perino came in like a cold-blooded mercenary. Bringing up the claim that Sunny allegedly makes Whoopi fetch her coffee, that's a burn even veteran roast masters would envy. Now, we're not saying this is literally happening. No video exists showing Sunny sending Whoopi on coffee runs. But the idea alone is enough to make anyone snicker. Regardless of the specifics, Dana's point lands with the precision of a sledgehammer. Maybe it's not just the ancestral slave ownership in Sunny's DNA. It could be the whole master dynamic. Perhaps there's a little boss lady complex coursing through her veins, passed down to generations of, let's say, complicated family histories. Either way, the irony is rich enough to make a millionaire blush. Just when we thought Dana had delivered the takedown of the century, Joe Mackey rolled in like a freight train, flattening what little was left of Sunny Hostin's defense with a single devastating swipe.
Greg, in her defense, everyone has ancestors that did unspeakably horrible things. It's just that not everyone's ancestors have records tied to their DNA about it.
So, Mackey starts off pretending to defend Sunny Hostin. According to the comedian, everyone's ancestry has its dark chapters, so maybe we should cut Sunny some slack. Sure, Joe, because who hasn't discovered that their great-great-grandparent was a pirate or a minor villain in history's greatest crimes? But hey, let's not let a little thing like owning slaves overshadow the good qualities of, well, being human. Maybe we should all be extra forgiving when someone's personal history involves profiting from centuries of oppression, right? Just when it seemed like Mackey was siding with Sunny, he dropped a hammer blow that sent her straight to the cleaners.
I'm more worried for Sunny Hostin's progeny in the future that do a DNA test and find out that they were related to a cast member of The View. And they're like, oh, it all makes so much sense now why I'm so stupid and fat.
For Sunny Hostin. You can't help but wonder how she'd react if she ever tuned in to Greg Gutfeld and his crew casually dismantling her on national TV. And Joe Mackey, what a cold-blooded mercenary. The precision with which he delivered his lines, absolutely savage. But maybe he's onto something. Imagine one of Hostin's own descendants digging through the family tree someday only to find a connection to The View, arguably one of the most infamous TV shows in history. Now that's a skeleton in the closet. At that point, even slave-owning ancestors might start looking like the lesser evil. Fans watching the chaos couldn't agree more with Greg and his guests. One of them even wrote, "Sonny Hostin grew up in a wealthy neighborhood, living in an elaborate home, and still claims to be a victim. She's an ignorant person." Others called Sonny a hypocrite for joining the calls for reparations while her own ancestors had owned slaves, they argued. I wonder how surprised she would be at the number of us who lost ancestral grandparents fighting to free slaves from her ancestors, but we don't need to line up for reparations. Another also added that her family owned slaves and even moved where they could continue to get slaves, yet wants reparations. What a hypocrite. Megyn Kelly also joined the roast, mocking Sonny Hostin by suggesting that the reparations advocate should be the one paying, not receiving reparations.
Your history and finds out that this is fantastic. She is descended from slaveholders. She's descended from slaveholders, and she's been apparently getting a lot of mail about her call for reparations because it turns out she's going to be paying them and not actually receiving them.
Yep, Kelly's absolutely right. Hostin might now have to figure out how to cut reparations checks to the descendants of the very people her family wronged. Or better yet, she could host a fundraiser with Hollywood's elite, because nothing says justice like celebrities sipping champagne while debating how to fix centuries of oppression. The irony is rich. Hostin advocating for reparations while quietly calculating how much it's going to cost her own family. Pure gold. And just when you think Megyn Kelly's roast couldn't get any better, it does.
It's true.
Guess there's nothing worse than to find out you're a white woman.
She's so disappointed.
It's really disappointing.
Her mother was white.
Oh my God.
Shame.
Oh my God.
The horror.
Oh man, making this video was an absolute blast. One rib-cracking take after another. Just imagine the sheer horror on Sonny Hostin's face when she realizes she's basically a white girl in black skin. The irony here is almost poetic. This is a woman who's built an entire career preaching against white privilege, only to discover she's been holding a VIP pass to the very system she's been railing against for years. It's like waking up and realizing the villain in your story is you. Honestly, the comedic potential writes itself. Sonny might need a full rebranding team stat. And let's not forget the existential crisis this must have triggered. Does she start hosting seminars on her own privilege? Or double down and blame it on some cosmic clerical error? Either way, her sermons on systemic oppression just got a little harder to sell with a straight face. But hey, hypocrisy is always trending, so maybe she's still got a shot at staying relevant. Anyway, that's enough laughter for one day. If you enjoyed our lighthearted but brutally honest commentary, give us a thumbs up and subscribe for more entertaining takes like this. And if you've got any hilarious thoughts or hot takes about the whole Greg Gutfeld Sonny Hostin saga, drop them in the comments. We promise we'll have a blast reading them. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next episode.